After his last job, Jackson Winters won his freedom, but even now he can't put his very real ghost to rest. News of his reappearance has spread, and there are people who have waited a long time to use his peculiar talents for all the wrong reasons. Welcome back, everybody, to another exciting episode, another edition of A Week in Geekdom here on YouTube. I am your host, Giovanni Menendez, and today I am very excited to bring you a part 2 of one of my reviews. I am talking, of course, about Ghosted. I read Volume 1 last month as of this recording, and I had some mixed feelings about it. I liked it for the most part, but I certainly had my problems with it. Now with Volume 2, I had a chance to sit back and enjoy the story knowing what the first volume had set up. Now, when we last left our protagonist Jackson Winters, he had swindled the previous villain, if you will, Marcus, out of the whole ordeal with capturing a ghost for his museum exhibit or whatever. And we did find out, spoilers, seriously guys, if you have not read Ghosted Volume 1, please go ahead and read it, because I am going to spoil a few key details about that book in this video so we can get on with the actual review. So yeah, with that said, you have been warned. In the last volume, Anderson, the lovable sidekick to our main protagonist, bit the dust in what could best described as a weird plot twist that I sort of didn't, but really saw coming. Basically, they used her as a sacrificial pawn. All the different ghosts of the house inhabited her body or possessed her or whatnot, so they killed this character, and she gets possessed by like thousands of demons and ghosts and goblins and whatnot, and Marcus gets his overdue payback at the end of the book. Now with this story, it picks up several months after the conclusion of the first volume. Jackson is enjoying his retirement, if you will, down in Indonesia, and of course he is accompanied by the character of Trick, which we previously saw. Now, unfortunately, one bad guy remembers Jackson's face and sets the whole plot in motion of this second story when he calls his boss and tells him that Jackson is still alive and he's down in Indonesia. He's gonna go get him for her, and things go bad pretty quickly. Jackson kills this dude, which is not really a spoiler because it's literally what happens in like the third or fourth page of this book. I am not spoiling anything. He knocks this guy out, and pretty soon he has to fight for his life and get out of there. Of course, several guys do kidnap him and Trick, and we find out that he is going to be employed to another character, to this Native American businesswoman, if you will, that is dealing, of course, with the whole supernatural side of things as well, because this wouldn't be a ghost comic without ghosts. This is a ghost story disguised as a action espionage thriller in the veins of Ocean's 11 and 13 Ghosts and that sort of thing. And the thing that I really appreciated about this book compared to the previous one, the characters are much more fleshed out. We get a lot more of Jackson just by himself. He's really doing his own thing. He doesn't have this huge ensemble like in the first volume, and you get to spend more time with him. You do find out what happened in his flashback that made him the way he is and why he went to prison and all that stuff, and that was really interesting. We find out that the employer in this mission was the casino holder that Jackson was trying to rob, and you find out the truth behind the whole incident with the spooks and everything and why everybody ended up dead, and it just subtly changes the outlook on Jackson Winters to a way where the character is more sympathetic, more interesting as a human being, if you will, even though he does on occasions do quite the despicable thing or two. But first, I want to compliment the art in this book. The art is done, and I hope I'm saying this right. David Gianfelice. I hope I said that correctly. If not, I am so sorry, but this is a huge step up from the first book. Whereas my main complaint in the first volume is that the art really did not match the tonal shifts that the story was going for. Joshua Williamson is doing a commendable job in that first book. He's setting up all these plots and characters and all that stuff, and now parentheses, I don't know how the story ends, because as of this recording I've only read up to issue 10 or book 2, so I really don't know what will happen at the end. I'm hoping that some of the plot threads do continue onward until the finale. I may be mistaken. We'll find out once I read volumes 3 and 4. But yeah, some of the stuff that Josh was setting up and the tones that he's using are meant to be taken serious, but once you start looking into the series itself and realize that the art doesn't really match it. The art is trying to be grim and gritty, but it doesn't really feel like it, especially when you've got characters cracking jokes and making witty, smart-ass remarks. And it's that tonal shift which really put me off with that first volume and made me not love it as much as I wanted to. Now with this book, completely different. The art suits the tonal shift that Josh was going for exquisitely. The art is fantastic. It's brimming with personality. It's bright and at the same time kind of spooky when they go into the jungle, because as you can see from the cover, it is jungle themed. It does take place in Mexico with the Aztecs and the pyramids and all that stuff. So you do see ghosts and all that stuff, but now that we know that the story is a little bit more lighthearted in that it's more action oriented with jokes and sort of this Lethal Weapon vibe, if you will, it makes sense for the art to be brighter. Whereas the previous volume, it just was a little bit off in my opinion. I don't know. What do you guys think? But yeah, the art is great. Everybody looks fantastic. I love how everything looks in this volume. I love the character designs, and I love the brotherhood that appears. That spoilers, our main antagonist's granddaughter gets kidnapped, and of course Jackson is sent in to get her. There is a plot twist of a supernatural kind, which I kind of don't want to spoil, just in case some people don't want me to spoil the whole thing on this video, because this is more of a review instead of a discussion. So yeah, the action is fast-paced, the characters are great. It's a very witty, funny written ghost action-packed story. You know, there's a really cool cliffhanger at the end, and it kind of ties into book 1. I was not expecting that at all. If you want to have a good time reading a supernatural story that doesn't really take itself too seriously, and it's not a horror book whatsoever, it is spooky, but it relies more on this is more like a Halloween fair, where other books really go in to scare you. This is more like, you know what, let's have some fun and do a cool kick-ass ghost story with action, violence, a little bit of romance, but not really too much seriousness thrown in. But yeah, overall a much better experience this time around with Ghosted Volume 2. Alright guys, tell me what you think down below of Ghosted. As always, like, comment, and subscribe to A Week in Geekdom. Hit the notification bell so you know when new videos are coming up. You can follow me on your favorite social media platform, from Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and many more. Just type A Week in Geekdom and I'm there for you guys. Alright, I gotta go. I've got more stuff to read, review, and geek out about, and I will catch you on our next video. And I was like, oh, wait a minute.